I think something that a lot of people have been surprised by, no matter where your sympathies are in all this, and I'm totally appalled by the looting, I have to say, disgusted by it, is the degree to which a lot of cops now around the country look like soldiers.
Right. Mm-hmm.
And why does a town of this size have an armored personnel carrier? And why do they have machine guns? And what happened exactly that our cops look like, look like this Delta Force?
Why is because it dates back to the Reagan era. At the end of the Reagan era, when there was an Army surplus program that basically unfolded. So local communities, whatever was left over from the Pentagon, would flow into these local communities, equipment. And in fact, the front page of the New York Times this morning has a story about the types of pieces of equipment that are going to these local police departments: mine-resistant ambush protected vehicles, Casper armored vehicles, Sea King helicopters, armored personnel carriers. And here are some of the numbers. Take a look at this. More than 860 armored vehicles going to local police departments, more than 93,000 machine guns, 533 aircraft, 45,000 pieces of night vision equipment. Look, we can have a healthy debate as to whether or not, larger cities like New York City and Seattle maybe need these things in the case of...
Really? They need mine-resistant vehicles? Look, I support the cops completely, and I'm totally for law and order. But who's the enemy here? Us.
Well,
this is scary.
So you're saying it looks militaristic, and that is somehow...
It is militaristic.
It is militaristic, and
Here's what was most
used against the population. And why would conservatives defend this? A lot of conservatives, like me, are reflexively pro-cop, and I am certainly reflexively pro-cop. Always have been, always will be. But this is not what small government conservatives should be for. This is really creepy.
No, but I believe community policing has its roots in conservatism. James Wilson, I believe, was a big proponent of community policing.
He invented it.
Integrating into the community, and the broken window policy, and knowing your police officers and having a communication with them, the friendly police officer in the neighborhood. And now we see riot gear and bulletproof vests and armored personnel carriers. I find it very troubling. What I also find troubling...
Molotov cocktails coming from the other side.
Yes, that's true. But then, with all this gear and equipment, Rod Wheeler was just saying, and thousands of cops on the scene, that nobody was preventing the looting of the liquor store, of the beauty supply store. If police exist for any reason, it's fundamentally to preserve civic order, to prevent lunacy like this from taking place.
Well,
if they can't do that, then what's the point?
Isn't it boys with toys sometimes, too? I mean, it's the hall monitor syndrome sometimes. You get a guy in a small-town police department, and you get some little domestic disturbance, which is reported in these stories, and, the hall monitor syndrome, he gets in an armored personnel carrier.
Right.
Like the woman, like the Keene Pumpkin Festival up in New Hampshire. Did you hear about this? The Keene Pumpkin Festival, a nice little festival where old ladies go and get apple cider. An armored personnel carrier needs to be at the Keene Pumpkin Festival in New Hampshire because you're worried about grandma taking too much apple cider.
Well, you've got 4 Democrats who are calling for this, really a bill to look at the this extensive sort of, I guess, militarization, as you can say, of local community
police. Well, they've pushed it, so they've got a lot to apologize.
Let me just say this. What I find most troubling, because I really can't stand the size of the defense budget, and I say it occasionally here on the show, one third of all of these pieces of equipment were never used in Iraq and Afghanistan. 2 wars we were fighting. 1/3 of the equipment sat unused. That's why I went to these local police departments.
Yeah. I don't have a problem when this stuff is used against Islamic extremists or people in other countries. Just don't use it against our people.
All right, let us
taxpayer
know
dollars
what you think
paying
about this.
billions just sitting there collecting dust.
Email us, because we know these guys have a lot to say about it. We know you do too.
We have 4 more hours to fill. We'll do it.
We'll talk about it again.